you guys can hear me. We are on X and on YouTube in parallel. Hello from Karmøy in Norway. That's very good. Can you guys hear me? Can everyone hear me? Doing a sound check here to make sure this new setup actually works. Good evening, Joe from Latvia. Beautiful. Hi to Latvia. Yup, you can hear me all good? Very good. So let's get started. We had a live session yesterday, the Pioneer Academy, but today we are just going all in to the market. You know, important things are happening, and what is happening is exactly what we predicted yesterday night when Trump announced the blockade of the blockade. And I said, this is very good. This is, in my opinion, a very important de-escalation step into an off-ramp. We know that Trump was in a predicament. He could not militarily escalate, even though he threatened that. It would have been a disaster for many reasons, because Iran is very hard to invade or impossible to invade. So he needed an off-ramp. And when he announced the blockade, the first reaction of the market was, oh, we are shocked. Oil went up, futures went down Sunday night. But I predicted this is going to be a green day. It's going to be good, because the blockade signals that we are off ramping from military escalation. The blockade also didn't make much sense in my mind. And we see exactly these things, even though I don't know if this here is fake news or not on X, but I said the blockade won't really work, which is actually a good thing, because a blockade of Iran on the high seas to blockade the ships that coming in and out is impossible for the United States, because it would require other countries to just agree to it. Because we have to play scenarios through here. What if the Chinese, and we have now these news on X, I'm not sure if they're true or not, you never know on X, but now people say the Chinese are exactly doing what I predicted. If you do a blockade, what happens if someone doesn't want to get blockaded? What happens if a Chinese vessel says, you know, screw you, America, you can't stop me? What are you going to do? Are you going to attack that ship? Are you going to board it? That's an act of war against China. It's an act of war against India, and so on and so forth. So that blockade is impossible to uphold unless you want to go to war. And no one wants to go to war against the entire world. That is why I was very clear very quickly, this is not a real thing. You cannot uphold this blockade. It's not going to work. And even if it's a Mexican standoff because you're choking off the oil markets, and I predicted this is just another signal that this conflict is effectively over. Turns out the market at least agrees and went positive. So if you look at the market today, exactly as predicted yesterday, it started super duper down here at 9:30. We were negative. We were hitting, what was that here? 22,800. We are now at 23,086, up 0.8%. So market clearly believes this is not a big deal, or it's even de-escalatory, exactly as I thought it would be. And that confirms our greater thesis that this conflict is over. Let's look at oil. Look, oil dropped dramatically after going up to 103, I think, and it's now down to 97. So very good signals here. If you look at the oil curve, and sorry if you're just not that interested in macro in Iran, we have to look at these things because they determine the market. Look at this total drop of the price after going up a lot in pre-market. Very good. I'm very proud. I did the right call here. Making the right call is very important because it makes us money and enforces our Pioneer Alpha advantage. Diogenes says my Pioneer Alpha strategy didn't go as you wanted. I disagree with you, Diogenes. It goes exactly as I want. My goal with Pioneer Alpha is to massively outperform the rest especially Tesla, and I'm doing that. So I don't know what your comment refers to. It's very simple. This is not theory. It's not political blah blah. We are now institutional, by the way. We are an institutional Pioneer Alpha portfolio, and we are winning, and there's not much to debate. We are winning, and that's exactly what we want. Of course, we are down for the year, by the way. We are down roughly, we are getting the latest numbers for last week, and we are down roughly 14%. But Tesla is down over 20%, and that's our main benchmark because our biggest holding is Tesla. And I don't mind being down. That's not the thing, because we are heavily alphaing out Tesla, and we are focusing on Tesla and some other AI stocks. I'm happy to be a little down when the market or our reference portfolio is down so much, because it's a volatile portfolio. And when it goes up, we will go up much, much more. You know, we are not someone who is trying to have a low beta to these stocks. We are outperforming them, as you will see, as we did last year and the year before. So when I make these predictions, it's not a game. It's actually about money. That's why I share it here for you guys. And everything is looking good. So let's look at Tesla. 350. Here, let's go to 1 day or 5 day. So of course, here that was a little bit of a bull trap April 8th. Then we got hit a little bit. I got hit here. So that was a bad day. But then pretty nicely outperformed Tesla every single day. And today is just another day. So my strategy now going forward is very simple. When we look at the big picture, here, Street Cred 0 says it's just common sense. Blockade of Hormuz was the only Iran card left. So the obvious move is to take it off the table. Well, let's see. I think it's just de-escalating the whole thing. So what do we do now? Where are we going from here? Let's take a look at Tesla. Here is where we are at. And you know that I think we are building and forming a bottom here. Why is that? A lot of technical analysts make a mistake. The technical analysts tend to only look at their own stock at Tesla. But this is not a Tesla story. This decline here has been a market story in combination with Tesla not having any catalysts in Q1, as I made very clear in December that I predict a slow deflation of the stock due to a lack of catalysts relative to the market. And that's exactly what happened. The market went down, Tesla went down more. But now my prediction comes next. I think the market is bottoming out. I told you guys, I think it's a coiled spring because AI, we are in a crazy, crazy time in AI. We are implementing now the agents all over the place. OpenClaw in Pioneer Lands, in the Pioneer Academy, launching an agent system. Go to pioneerlands.org, by the way. If you're a citizen, you will get free tokens, not unlimited, very limited free tokens because this is expensive stuff, but you will get free tokens to test out our Draupner agent system. These are trained agents that are much smarter than what you normally get on Claude or OpenClaw. They are very well-trained agents that we are using internally and that we make available to our citizens. If you're not a citizen, you have to pay, because we have to pay. You have to pay for the tokens. But long story short, we are seeing that there's a massive disruption in the AGI space. Intelligence has hit an inflection point. An inflection point. And that is very, very important. About last night says, for weeks they have been talking about the street of hummus, and it makes you hungry. I understand that. Hummus cannot be blockaded. Hummus is everywhere. So what we are seeing, big picture, is a massive, massive capability expansion in terms of AI. A massive capability expansion in terms of AI. That drives the market higher, that drives the AI stocks higher. Mostly semiconductors, NVIDIA, some of the hyperscalers, including Amazon. But also, of course, the model producers, OpenAI, and most important of all, Anthropic. Don't forget that Amazon holds 20% in Anthropic. So Amazon is your public stock to actually play the Anthropic story. Anthropic is now exceeding the OpenAI market cap, 800 billion, crazy story. all happened in the last 2 months because of the agent revolution. And NVIDIA, as you know, I cover this a lot. NVIDIA, one of my favorite stocks outside Tesla. NVIDIA also clearly pivoted or re-emphasized or emphasized the agent strategy with NemoClaw, with DGX, their at-home and consumer mini AI factory that you can buy, DGX Spark, and so on and so forth. Now, Matthew Berman, for example, they're promoting this, the great AI YouTubers. So there is a giant revolution going on. The AI bubble talk, as I also said in November, is complete bogus, but now Wall Street understands it and embraces it, that this is not a bubble. In fact, it's the greatest demand explosion and growth we have ever seen in the history of humanity, connected to the greatest CapEx expenditure. But it's absolutely not a bubble. It is the exact opposite this time. It is the most profitable and craziest technology that we have ever seen that will drive productivity through the roof. Now, I'm not saying there won't be disruptions and people won't suffer and economies won't half implode while the other half explodes. There will be unemployment, chaos, there will be political chaos. All of that is coming now, this year, and then escalating into next year. But for us, we're talking stocks right now. The stocks at the core, that eye of the storm, the semiconductors, even Intel now, Intel, Broadcom, AMD, the RAM producers, HK, MU, Micron Technologies, and so on. Hot stuff. We just have to watch out for valuations. And of course, the easiest play is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is at the eye of the storm. Now, there are long-term implications for Tesla, of course, super bullish on Terafab and all these things, but Tesla will take a long time to get there. The long story short here is that the AI play is absolutely now a coiled spring, and it's coming back. NVIDIA already nearly at 190. I bet on NVIDIA pretty strongly. That pays off. And I keep betting on it. Look at this. There was a huge run-up of NVIDIA. Look at this. This thing was at 175 and it's now at 190 within 5 days. And I said it here. I literally said it here. It's going to 200 in no time. I didn't predict it so fast, to go so fast, so I'm a little underexposed. I'm still happy, but I could have been more exposed. Whereas Tesla is lingering around a little bit here. Lingering around a little bit, but I do think Tesla forms a bottom here because it will be hard for Tesla to drop much more from here if the market keeps going up. But Tesla took a little bit of a hit when 14.3 came out and people were slightly disappointed. So now they're saying like, oh, is Robotaxi and Cybercab maybe not scaling? I think if you take a step back, we are through this crisis now, more or less. The market is going to go higher. The AI play will absolutely come into play now. And Tesla is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, representation of a company that will capture all this upside of AI with a giant moat around it, because it's a hardware-driven company with no competition. There is no competition for Robotaxi, no serious competition. There is very little competition on Optimus when you really think about it. And of course, when it comes to the SpaceX situation, that's a total monopoly. So Tesla, I think, is well positioned. The street has now to wrap their heads around this a little bit. What I like about Tesla right now, why I'm increasing my exposure beyond the core position significantly. I'm now doubled my position. So I am now in the over 100% exposure territory, just to give you a feel. So I'm taking some risks here. I'm over 100% invested, which is normal for Pioneer Alpha in any reasonably bullish phase. I think it's a good time now to be in this. I'm also looking at MicroStrategy, of course, and crypto. Let's not talk about MicroStrategy alone. Let's talk about crypto and what we see with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin, of course, behaving very, very attractively throughout this crisis after its big crash, down 37%, of course, here over the last 6 months. In the Iran crisis, see, this crashed actually before the Iran crisis. Beginning of February was the darkest hour. I remember this. Long story. I'm not going to go into that, but I remember that when I looked at my Bitcoin, and it totally crashed to 62,000. And there was big fear, but I saw how much it already crashed, looked at the fundamentals, huge adoption, institutional adoption, broader adoption of Bitcoin across the different segments. So it's weird that it's crashing against the fundamental rise. Same for Ethereum, by the way. And we saw this very strong behavior throughout the crisis when you think about that. See, here's the beginning of the Iran crisis. Look at that. And it actually went up. And choppy here. So this looks like forming an incredibly strong bottom, which I like a lot. And that leads us to MicroStrategy, of course. People ask me, is that a good buy? And I think MicroStrategy, of course, suffered a lot here, more than Bitcoin, nearly twice as much down. I like MicroStrategy here, to be totally honest. Not as much as Tesla. You know, I'm very focused on Tesla. MicroStrategy has the risk that it's dependent on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is, of course, I have a much harder time predicting Bitcoin tactically than I can predict Tesla. Tesla is my strength. NVIDIA, I'm getting better. Bitcoin, I am not so sure. I just see strategically this could be very well a strong bottom forming with enormous upside. So that's a nice portfolio if you want concentrated AI and blockchain exposure. I think MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, and Tesla, good potential plays. Be cautious, not investment advice. So there we have it. Now, BMNR. Well, I don't have any. I have a lot of Ethereum, but I am thinking about it. So that's a treasury company by Tom Lee, focusing on Ethereum. I don't know why these guys are so less professionalized than MicroStrategy. I hate their website. They should be much more like MicroStrategy. They could also talk about their metrics much better and more. I like about MicroStrategy how they set up the website and everything. It's very easy to track. In case you don't know their website, it's like amazing. I will show it to you now. And as opposed to Bitmine, which is a very crappy website, look at MicroStrategy. That's how a good website should look like. I learned a lot for our website at Pioneer Alpha and Pioneer Reserve, where we track our bonds and our institutional portfolio now. Go to pioneerreserve.com if you want to know more, to check out our corporate website and how this looks like. A little more complex than here. But here you have all the great indicators, and this is the most important indicator for me, right? 1.11 MNAV. So MNAV is an indicator how much more you pay for the stock than their Bitcoin holdings. So this is a very low multiplier. You're paying basically 11% over their Bitcoin holdings. So if you would buy all the Bitcoin that MicroStrategy owns, right, the stock or the market cap is now only 11% over the raw value, the net asset value of their Bitcoin. I think M means multiplier or something, NAV, net asset value. So there you have it. That's very good because that normally expands in bullish times. So people are actually not that bullish on strategy right now, which is good. You want to go in when they're not bullish. So it's a double bet here. You're betting on MicroStrategy and the multiplier over their Bitcoin, and you're betting on Bitcoin itself, which is, how much do they have now? Bitcoin reserve, 56 billion in Bitcoin. Of course, biggest holder of Bitcoin, I think 4% or something of all Bitcoin. So interesting stuff. If you compare that to Bitmine Immersion Technologies, look at this. Tom Lee, what are you doing? Get yourself a website design team. Like, this looks horrible. Like, what is this? I hate it. So why is this so complicated? Tom, like, look at this. Why do I look much better than Tom Lee? I mean, you know, you guys know what I mean. I don't mean our face. I mean our website. Our website is so much better than Bitmine. This is ridiculous. They should invest a little bit more into not just the looks, but the substance of it, right? Look at the Pioneer Reserve, for example. This is how we make it look like, and we have a much smaller team. This is a much smaller institutional thing, but I have all these metrics now where you can actually see our performance. You can go to pioneerreserve.com and check it out. You see the Pioneer Reserve portfolio. You see the reference bond performance, how we are in this channel all the time, constantly making money, by the way. Whoever just said my strategy doesn't work, I mean, hello, look at the data. Don't make these statements. You're seeing our buffer going down here because we are down 14%, which threatens at some point the performance of our bond. But let's see. I'm pretty positive that we hit that point. I'm not going to go into all of this right now, but this is our website. Very metrics driven. You see the portfolio. You see all the performance data. Why can't Tom Lee do this? I'm not here to bash Tom Lee. I'm just saying, look at Pioneer Reserve, how we do this, how we present our numbers here. Very clear metrics. Go to MicroStrategy or strategy.com, how they present their numbers and metrics. That's what you want to see with a good securitization company, right? That you should provide crystal clear insight into what you're doing. And I don't see any of that with BNMR, which is why I don't have it, even though I really believe in Ethereum, actually more than in Bitcoin, even though I like Bitcoin, but I think Ethereum is just incredibly bullish what's happening there. Where is your data? I don't see anything with BitMine. So not the biggest fan. The Alchemy, like, what is this? Like, why don't you have real-time stuff here? You publicly traded, right? So, okay, enough bashing, but that's, if they would fix that, I would feel much more comfortable with MicroStrategy. I have a very easy time because I want this number here. I wanted to see how cheap this is. Otherwise, I have to do it manually, which is extremely annoying. So here I see what deal I get, and then I compare this also to Bitcoin, the price, and then I know more. So that was my little excursion into the crypto world. Just here, Street Cred Zero says, I sold 2 weekly 131 puts on Palantir. I'm not playing Palantir too much, but Palantir, well, you have to be cautious, Street Cred. Palantir went up a lot now because people thought there's more escalation coming. It's a little bit correlated to the whole war situation. Exactly. BitMine website looks vibe coded. I totally agree. It's like vibe, like Tom Lee, what are you doing? Vibe coding your website? You have a public company, come on. ARK Invest looks very good. But that is the situation. So we have some more Tesla questions. When it comes to Tesla, yeah, Tesla behaving still subdued. But my gut feeling really is here we hit the bottom, not just gut feeling. If you do technical analysis and the whole thing, plus the market overlay, plus the market probably going higher from here on, and the macro situation calming down with Iran, even though Tesla will definitely look weaker than I would have liked it to look like in April, with Cybercap having some issues scaling, I think, you know, we are now in a situation where maybe my prediction actually didn't come true. Let's see. But I'm more and more sure my prediction will not come true, that we hit 1,800 inflection point cyber caps by April or May. I do not think we get to unsupervised 1,800 by May. So that means now we are in delay mode. And I don't mind, by the way, if I'm wrong with my predictions. I'm making them on a probabilistic scale and based on the information I have. I also don't care about what other people think. I care about my portfolio. I want to win. I want to always win, and I want to make more money than someone who just has all their money in Tesla. That is my benchmark, and I want to beat that person, that hypothetical person, in good times and in bad times. If Tesla goes up 500%, I need to go up 700%. If Tesla goes down 50%, I need to go down 40% or less. That's called alpha, beating it to the downside and beating it to the upside. That's the tricky part. Because it's easy to beat it on either side, right? You can just totally leverage your way into Tesla, and then if it goes up, you go up twice as much, but then you also go down more. Or you're one of these people who always sell short calls, and in these sideways or down markets, you beat Tesla easily, but then when it goes up 100% or 200%, you're going up 20%. So the art is really, you need to outperform it to the upside and downside. Very important. Yeah, so Tesla, the situation for this week is I'm bullish. I'm pretty bullish. That doesn't mean it goes up like crazy, but I think the downside is just very limited at this point. And that is what we're looking at. Down 10% for the month. Pretty bad. Down 21%. See, we are down 14 and this thing is down 21%. That is the situation. What about Nvidia, by the way? Year-to-date performance, even though that's not totally accurate. Up 1%. That's not bad. Well, it went up like crazy. Here you see what happens when the AI bubble pops. The AI bubble popped, and now people understand it's not a bubble. So that is the situation. Tesla goes 5x. I go 20x. Uh-oh. Endo took some risks, it seems. Is this all YouTube comments, by the way? We are also on X. I don't know if X works. Is there anyone on X here? Do I see myself on X? It's probably not working, the whole X. Oh, it is working. Let's click on this. We have some views here. I'm checking out my own X. So we have people on X. How do I see more? 359 views, but I don't know if they're real. Are they live? No. I think X is a little weak. We are YouTube heavy. I'm not doing much on X here video-wise. Let's see what happens. Okay, do we have any questions or is that the update for now? I'm working on some very cool stuff. The agents are coming to Pioneer Lands and that is going to be very, very hot. The agents are coming and that will impact short production, video production, and it will also impact economic models. Leaps. Yeah, leaps can help you a lot, but you go up 20x. Well, yeah, of course. If Tesla goes up 5x, you probably make a lot of money on leaps. But if Tesla goes up 10x or 50% or something, I don't know what your leverage will be. Okay, guys, that was it for today. Interesting day. Let's stay tuned. Maybe do more of these live sessions. They're fun. And I hope X also joins us a little bit more. Otherwise, we just hang with our YouTube community. Thank you for tuning in and see you tomorrow.